Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger, and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the DomainSherpa Discussion. This is the show where we discuss industry and internet news, trends going on, and questions from the audience. We're joined by two industry veterans and thought leaders. From left to right, we have Adam Dicker, CEO of dnforum.com and nichewebsites.com, the company that will help you build, rank, and update your business website. And the domain king, Rick Schwartz, publisher of ricksblog.com and co-founder of the Traffic Domain Industry Conference. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So as you've probably noticed, we are missing two Sherpas. Michael Berkens and Paige Howe may be joining us later in the show. Mike most likely will, and Paige is MIA, so we're hoping that he's going to join us today. First up, Rick, let's talk about Traffic West. It wrapped up last Saturday in Vegas. I don't know if Lady Luck was on my side or what, but I received an offer on a 4-letter domain name that I own that I was able to bounce off multiple people at the conference to make sure I wasn't selling it too low, my ask wasn't too high. Ended up accepting the offer. It's in escrow right now, and I don't want to jinx it, but I was happy that it closed while I was at Traffic. What did you think of the event?
Well, it really isn't a matter of what I think about the event. That's kind of irrelevant, but the feedback that I've gotten is people were happy. They had a good time to network. They did business, as you've indicated. Hopefully that deal pays for the show. And from all quarters, everyone seemed very happy, and they're looking forward to coming to Miami.
Excellent. Paige Howe, welcome to the show.
He's on an important call.
He is.
I'll talk while he's muted.
He is muted, so all right.
I was obviously at Traffic. Attendance was a little lower than usual, but I did find that the quality of people that attended the show were very good. And I'm not saying that people didn't attend the show weren't quality, but the ones that were there were really good. And I ended up writing up about 3 to 4 times as much business as I normally do at the show, so I was very happy with that. And I also got to meet quite a few people that I hadn't met before, and I had some really good business meetings. So for me, Traffic was a huge success, and it really doesn't matter whether there's 5 people or 5,000 people. What matters is that you use your time wisely. And I didn't do well because I was Adam Dicker. I did well because I was aggressive at meeting and talking to people. So the show was a great opportunity for me. I enjoyed it, as I look forward to every other show that pops up. I really enjoyed it. It was great for me.
I agree. And, after having interviewed you and Howard, Rick, I thought, what could I do to help, make the show even more impactful for me? And so I welcome Michael Berkens.
Hey.
And welcome, Paige. Thanks for cutting your other phone call short, by the way.
All right. I got to find the window. Where's my window?
I don't know where your window is. But back to my previous comment, I decided to print off 15 domain names that are in my portfolio that I consider investment grade that I wanted to move, and I printed them off so that it wasn't like 100 domain names that I couldn't figure out. People didn't want to browse through. You know how it is. People come up to you with 5 sheets of paper with domain names, and you don't want to look through them all. So I just selected 15, showed them to a few brokers, wanted to get their input. Maybe they've got a connection. So I think I made some good connections there. And I have to say, one of the highlights of the event was, I think it was a Thursday night dinner. Adam and his son Jordan, Mike Berkens and I went out with Nagar and Brad from Cedo and had a phenomenal sushi dinner. I got some dirt on Mike Berkens that will go down to the grave with me.
Don't we all?
And I had a great time. So maybe it was a fantastic Traffic event for me. Mike, we were just talking about Traffic.
Yeah.
Yes. Any final thoughts to wrap up the opening session?
It's always interesting, so there's always something, that you get a chance to chat with that you wouldn't have gotten a chance to chat with, or something that comes up that, makes it worthwhile. So I look forward to South Beach, which should be really phenomenal. It's a great location for those who haven't been to Fontainebleau. It's one of the top locations in Miami, and they have one of the best nightclubs in the whole country, Live, and some great restaurants. It's a phenomenal location, phenomenal spot. It should be a great show. I look forward to it.
Yeah, South Beach is great. All right, next up, let's talk brokers. Adam, you own a two-letter .ca .canada domain name. I believe it's .ca, is that correct?
Yes.
And you've got a story for us.
I do, and I'd like to get some opinions of the panel as well as the readers. I'm not going to give away too much of it. Actually, I wasn't even going to say the domain name, but thank you very much. So we'll leave the domain name.
Do you want to go back and cut it out?
Nah,
I'll bleep it.
Out there.
I can bleep it.
No, leave it. Let's go.
All right.
So here's a story. So you guys think of this carefully because it's going to take some thought to understand exactly what the process was. So I got an email from a broker saying, can you give me a ballpark price on this domain name? So I put in at $125,000. Okay. The next thing I know, we're at traffic, and I get an email saying that it's gone to escrow. Now, are all of you familiar with the escrow process page, Rick?
Escrow.com, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so here's what I get. I get an email saying that it's sold. The sale price is $125. So even though it was just a rough estimate, it went in there, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. So what it was so the normal way to put a domain in escrow is you list the sale price at $125. You list the broker fee in there at, in this case, it was going to be 25%. Meanwhile, all I did was respond to a price, so they get $25,000, whatever it is, for me just saying, here's a ballpark, here's a price, and it showed the net of 100. It normally shows a net of 100 on a normal broker transaction, and usually the transaction is initiated through escrow.com by the broker. So you guys agree it's normally started by the broker, right? The broker is the one that sets up the transaction.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
typically, yes.
So I got home, I looked at it a little bit before I agreed to anything, and I thought that I looked closely, and instead of listing it at 125, it was listed at 100. It was listed, the broker part was listed as private, and the net was listed 100. So nothing was really exposed about what anybody could or would have been making or paying on it. But if the net was 100, where was the commission coming from? And obviously the commission was being paid outside of the transaction, which I thought was kind of weird. I'm not making any accusations right now. I'm just stating the facts, and let's see what the panel thinks. Then the other thing is the transaction was actually started by the buyer instead of the broker. I don't know how a buyer could start a transaction at escrow and know what the commission would be for the broker themselves, unless possibly the buyer and the broker were the same person. Maybe they signed in as the broker to set it up instead of the buyer and went into the wrong one. So what it looked like to me was I was selling it for $125K, paying out $25K as a commission, and somebody else was going to upsell the thing to somebody else, or they were buying it for themselves, as I've talked to somebody and they already told me that. But I just don't think, I didn't feel comfortable with it, even though it was a decent sale. I didn't feel comfortable with the way it was. There was no transparency, and I felt awkward about it, like I was somehow being scammed. And I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but I think it should have been laid out like a normal escrow transaction instead of the way it was. So I decided I wanted no part of it.
What do you guys think? Does it seem fishy?
I mean, I think they may have been wanting to show as a buyer that they paid a certain amount, almost like they were going to give an invoice to their company and say, hey, I paid $145, and then really you only got $100 and they put $45 in the other place. But the other thing I always think about is what happens if the transaction's ever rescinded or refunded. The components of each thing are treated differently, and that's why I would have walked away the same way, because sometimes people will enter into something, split it up two different ways, and then if it ever blows up, they're like, well, yeah, that part goes back, but I earned this part as a broker, so I would be weary.
Rick?
Well, I mean, I guess if I was looking at it, I would have seen the $125,000, and I would have looked at the second thing at $100,000, and I would have just assumed that they took the commission out, and my net is my net, and I'd be netting $100,000. But if something was missing, I'd be, I want to know why there's something missing. So.
Well, something was missing, and it's very irregular for the when it's covered up on my end, and I don't see who the buyer is. How does the buyer have enough information to list me as a seller and who the broker's email is and my email that I was negotiating from. It just sounds a little off to me.
Right.
Yeah, well, something definitely needs clarification either way. So, I mean,
it would sound like whoever was on the buyer side and maybe representing themselves as a broker may have had a buyer at a higher amount and was happy to sort of buy that amount, which happens, I think, a lot, but typically people are smart enough to go just buy it as a buyer and then go flip it. So, I mean, it's happened to me that people have bought a name and then, basically flipped it immediately just to another buyer.
Well, I don't care what somebody does to me after they buy it. I do care that they're trying to do it in the middle of one of my transactions.
Well, it wasn't the smartest way of doing it, for sure.
I mean, to me, it reminds me of what people think of some of these, us in the industry, like it's a Wild West and there are no rules and there's no need for transparency. To me, I was a little shocked because I think that as a customer of this company, like as whoever's brokering it for me, I'm a customer as a broker, I think they owe it to me to at least be honest. But that's clearly not going to happen in this industry by everybody.
Yeah. So what are you going to do, Adam?
I don't know. I'm lucky enough that I'm in no rush to sell it. I mean, obviously, I'd like to sell it, but I also want to know that I'm not being played a fool, and I'm selling it for $125. The company's taking $25, and they're going to sell it for $800. I mean,
yeah,
that's more of a basic question, though. I think we don't really have to specify in this transaction, but
no, I'm not specifying, but all it's done is made me do more research.
Right.
So it opened my eyes a little bit. I'm not accusing this broker of doing anything. I'm just saying there's a better way they could have done this.
For sure.
What could have happened? So let's assume that a guy gets involved in a $100,000 transaction that doesn't have $100,000. So that would be the only motive I can see for trying to make the transaction, whatever. Because just like in real estate, some people go to a closing with the property already sold. And so they don't come in with any money actually. Okay, so you can be broke, go to the real estate closing, show up, and walk away with your $50,000 or $100,000 check without a penny in your pocket just because you got in the middle of a deal. It sounds like it's possible that happened here, except it's a little bit harder because you got to give escrow.com the money somehow. So if there was another party involved in it, you understand what I'm saying? Trying to do the flip without coming out with the money, that's where this could have, I kind of think that's where the mystical whatever happened may have happened. Of course, I'm just talking out of my butt because, I'm just assuming.
Well, I can see that if it was like a one-man show or something like that and they didn't have let's say they were just taking their 25 out and then just passing it off and moving the domain back and forth. But in this case, you can't really do that. And it's also not a small company. It's a big company that we're all used to dealing with.
Okay.
But, I mean, so it's almost sort of an ethical argument over a financial argument to some extent, right? For a lot of people, so viewers out there, I guess there are a group of them that would certainly say if you got the price you wanted for the name or what you thought it was worth, what happened, the specifics of the transaction are less important. I mean, I feel, obviously, I'm a big sort of ethical guy, or try to be, and write about a lot of stuff, so I don't feel that way either, but I know there's a substantial number of people that would feel the other way. Like, who cares, if you got what you thought it was worth. And
first of all, it was an initial discussion on what price would I be interested in selling the name. It wasn't a firm deal, and I never had any communication besides giving out the first price. Mm-hmm. And second of all, when ethical things come into question, that is a big deal, because then you wonder how else you're getting screwed by the same company, or if anything you're told is the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying it makes you question other things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the part that was funny to me, is when a guy said how much, and you said, I'm thinking this, and all of a sudden there's an escrow transaction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there was no meeting of the minds.
There should have been at least a discussion in the middle saying, I didn't feel, because they took the first initial amount, it certainly, to me, wasn't a case of a broker working in my best interest to get the best price.
Right.
And that also concerned me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to mention Nagar because she's not in this situation, but I feel good when Nagar negotiates transactions that she's looking out for the best of her customer, because not because she took us out to dinner, but because she makes more commission on it if she sells it higher. But she also, I know from her, she has very good ethics. So I don't know. I just wasn't comfortable with the whole situation and decided not to agree to the transaction.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, Adam. I'm going to go back and bleep out the domain name because now I feel badly and I don't want to get in the middle. Next up, general availability. Live this week, .condos, .football, FUTBOL, .mason, .properties, .reviews, .social.
Hold on.
.tienda.
It's not mason. It's maison. It's French for house.
It's house
French
in
for
French.
house.
I thought it could be mason, though, like a house mason.
Yeah.
Tienda and .xyz. I picked up BainbridgeIsland.condos and BainbridgeIsland.properties to complement my my massive online portfolio for the island. I also picked up Sherpa.xyz. What else did you guys pick up? Anything good?
Not for me. I did pick up, what was it, St. Petersburg condos.
St. Petersburg.
Yeah, because I had a conversation with Mike. Was kind enough to alert me, Berkens, to pay attention if I wanted any. So I did grab one or two.
Yeah, Mike, did you grab some also?
I actually went in pretty heavy on the condos. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but I know there's a lot of new GTLDs in that vertical. But I feel like condos is different. So I mean, like a condo buyer is different than a real estate buyer, so to speak. I mean, they're looking specifically for condos. So although there's, I don't know, 7 or 8 verticals that are sort of real estate related all coming out, I really liked condos. And I went in on the EAPs, and this was the first EAP that I actually lost domains to on like day 2 and day 3 that other registrars had orders and beat me to the punch on a few. So some of them I didn't get actually, and I think I actually got nothing today from general availability. Although, so I think for me, like condos, is in a big market, it's a big play. And so if you look like a New York, which I got, or Miami, which I lost on. You're looking at average condo prices of $1 million or more. So the commission on those things are 60 or 70 grand on a unit, minimum sort of things. And then from there, so if you're dealing with that sort of a product that has that sort of price point, I don't think a realtor in New York or in Miami, when they're dealing with that sort of commission rate and that sort of dollar volume is really going to kick over sort of an $800 or $1,500 a year renewal fee. I mean, I'm sure some will still be reluctant, but I think it's a big money play. And so I guess this is the one that I sort of went in the heaviest. The next was Diamonds, which was a sort of another big dollar, vertical. And so I actually got a lot of them, but I didn't get any joined GA. I got them all in the AP.
How about you, Paige?
I did the opposite. I waited for GA, and most of the good ones we ended up going with downtown LA, just with the idea that there aren't a lot of condos in LA. But if you're living in downtown LA, that is one place where condo living is taken over, as opposed to even like Beverly Hills or some other area. So it was the idea, like Mike was talking about, where condos carried some relevance as opposed to just real estate or houses.
Right. Hey, Paige, do me one favor before you continue. Can you move your camera down a little bit so your head is closer to the top? Thank you, sir. And what else did you like besides condos?
Then we did a bunch of XYZs, quite a bit.
Why?
And, we like them.
How many is quite a bit?
Over 100.
Over 100, wow.
Why? Some people like .xyz, Adam. I've talked to some people that are betting on Daniel, that are betting on his motivation to make it a success.
Here's my take: is you're walking by the roulette table and you got some numbers down there, and the donuts ones, as good as they are rationally, they're not doing anything with them. They're just putting them out there and hoping they take off and hoping the registrars do it. So I saw a case where we had an individual who was going to market it and was going to do it. And even if the TLD didn't make as much sense to me, at least the passion of the team, that there was a team behind it, trying to make it something made sense. So we looked at what was available, and we were really surprised. So, I mean, we got Nashville and Tennessee and
Why do you think
Seattle
those were
and
available?
What's that?
Why do you think those were available?
I think he didn't hold them back like everybody else. And I don't think anyone... I mean, I think a lot of people wait to see what's available till they decide if they want to buy any. And they've gotten so conditioned with donuts that everything's taken or premium that you're almost surprised to see some of the stuff available, but you don't want to go through the mental exercise to say, well, do you like XYZ? The question is, do you like something.xyz? And there's a big difference between do I like Tennessee.xyz and what I like bestcreditcards.xyz. You know, if 50,000 names were taken and I was getting the last one. So it's an ante. It's like playing poker, and you put your ante in, and as long as they don't ask me to bet, and I just can check through 5 rounds, and I still may hit the jackpot, then I'm just going to say check, 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 check until next year, and then I'll decide if I want to pay $9 again. So
I have a feeling in a year you're going to fold.
and I may be, but if I can go, 100x up, and I can only lose $9, for me it was a reasonable speculation. So that's what we did.
I'm going to say that I registered less than 25, and I got an offer overnight for $1,000 on one of them.
.xyz?
An XYZ that I registered for $10 or whatever, and I'm still working it, but I do have the offer, and I'm in a few GoDaddy auctions, and I've already been outbid on a couple of them for a few $100s. So I think. I understand Daniel's philosophy and sort of the long-term vision, and life is long for some people. I think it really just depends. I see the vision. It could be something. It's not a big money deal. Nothing to go in extremely heavy in. But if you're gonna spend a few hundred or $1,000, Paige apparently spent like $1,000. It's not, sort of the end of the world, and you can sit back and wait, and especially if you're younger. So it's just, yeah, to me, domaining's a lot about that.
If you're younger, and you got 30 years to wait, it's a good deal. All right,
Mike, I always listen to people say, "Oh, I registered this name and I got a offer overnight," and I always think that's such bullshit on these discussion forums.
Oh, I actually got it.
But you actually got it. So so why don't you throw out what the domain is, and then maybe we can get you some more offers.
All right, yeah, no, I got an offer on great.xyz.
Great.xyz.
Great.xyz for $1,000, and I got it from a guy, put his phone number on it, a real person. I told him that basically our policy is not to sell anything for under $2,500. Long-standing policy, and told him to come up to $2,500 and we'd sell it. So I'm waiting to hear back. Maybe he'll write back today. Maybe it'll be sold by the time this thing airs tomorrow. Maybe not, but I haven't gotten. I've paid a lot more for new GTLDs. I haven't gotten a huge amount of offers on them. So I thought that was impressive, and it is what it is.
And did they just reach out to you through the Who Is, Mike?
Apparently.
Yeah. Because you don't have it pointed at any parking platform yet.
No, not that quickly.
All right. If you want great.xyz, get an email over to Mike Berkens at Most Wanted Domains.
We got an offer last night on Sadhu for $350, so I deal a little bit less than Mike. So our minimum's a little less, but it was just for a first name, and so someone once said for their first name, and so
first name.xyz.
No. We ran a list of the most popular first names 20 years ago when Generation Y would have been born. So we just ran a list of them, picked 5, took them. And we'll see how we do, But it's still the original reason people get a domain name, I think, is a vanity name for their email. So as long as I'm going to be in, I might as well be in with those.
I did search Mike.xyz. It was taken, but I think Mike.tattoo is available and Mike. A couple of others. So, Berkens, they're yours if you want.
I tried for Mike.xyz. I didn't get it, but Judy got hers, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I have to go on record and say that I hope these guys do well with them, but I'm saying... XYZ, Daniel, you're a good guy, but I think the extension sucks.
All right. As long as we're talking XYZ, next up, their XYZ shot up into the top 4 new GTLDs with 38,160 registrations according to NTLDstats.com. Mike, you posted on the domains that 72% of those registrations were at Network Solutions, which is traditionally strange because normally Network Solutions only gets about 4.76% of the sell-through rate of new TLDs. Raymond Hackney also posted on the domains.com yesterday that .xyz had given away one-year registrations of the matching .xyz for the .coms that were registered, and people had to opt out of taking their .xyz domain name. Whether it's right or wrong, the number of paid registrations is used as a barometer of the health of a new top-level domain. Is XYZ being shrewd in getting their domains into registrants' hands, or is this a manipulation of the numbers? What do you guys think?
Well, I'll go first. So basically, what I'm being told is whatever Network Solutions is doing is Network Solutions deal. So XYZ is saying they're getting paid for the registrations, and if Network Solutions is giving them away for free, then God bless, and all the other registrars on earth are also welcome to give them away for free, but he's getting paid. So, that is what it is.
So ICANN says that a registrar can't collect a pool of domain names and then just give them away for free. So Network Solutions says somebody has to buy them. So somebody's buying those domain names, I assume .xyz, the registry, and saying give them away to the first, however many thousand people that register .coms. And Network Solutions says, sure, I'll do that because I'm getting paid.
Well, I think XYZ is not saying that, but XYZ. Well, actually, I told him he should go on the record and say what he has to say somewhere. So I really don't want to speak for the guy.
Yeah.
He's basically as far as he's concerned, this is a Network Solutions promotion, and they're doing what they're doing.
Sure.
So
take that number out, Mike, and how much have they got?
If you take you have to take the 27,500 names out. You also have to take out the 1,100 that they've registered that shows up on NStats under their own, under the registry. So basically names that they reserved, that they activated, sort of like Frank did. So there's 1,100 of those. So you're looking at it based on the last update, maybe 11,000 to 12,000 registrations, which again isn't horrible. It puts you in the top 20. So,
but let me ask you this question:
Yeah.
If the more names he registers, does that make you want to buy the TLD more? Because it makes me want to buy it less, because it means I'm getting less good names. If I really like a TLD, I want it to show 3,000 names have been taken, so I can go get better names. I only really care what happens when I go to sell.
Right.
Not when I want to go to buy. But I think if a TLD comes out of the block strong, people feel better. They feel like other people bought it with me. But I don't know.
That's exactly the case. It's sort of the momentum of the market saying other people are buying it, maybe I'll buy it. And I'm not sure if that was the intention or not, but I believe a lot of people look at those NTLD stats and say, wow, strong out of the gate. I got to take a look.
This is a fishy market, though. Wait a second. If I publish a newspaper and I say, geez, my circulation was 40,000, and then they say, well, tell me who the 40,000 people were, and I say, well, 9,000 people paid for it, and then I went to another city and I just left it all over their doorsteps and I ran out of town. I'm sorry, that does not count as circulation, okay? So that becomes a little misleading. And look, I don't know what happened, but this was an opt. You got the domain automatically. You had to opt out to not get it. That's awful weird to begin with. Okay, so that's 27,000 free samples that people didn't ask for, don't want, didn't know about. Maybe fooled in a year if it becomes a renewal issue. I don't know.
I think it's more likely that other registries will do the same thing, that we'll see this stop, because your inventory doesn't cost you anything in a TLD, so if they can give out free samples on the hope that they're going to get future registrations, and some of these guys start looking at their numbers, I have a feeling we'll see it more than we do less.
Right, but what would have been smart?
That may not be true, though, Paige.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, most of these registries are paying their back-end provider per domain. So, and they're also paying ICANN per domain with a guarantee of $25,000 a year. But So, unless you own your own back-end provider,
That's true.
which is really only Google and I guess Frank, of all the new GTLDs, you have to pay. So, Daniel uses CentralNIC. CentralNIC is charging him whatever they're charging him, and I don't know, but it's it's not insignificant amount of money. It's I don't know, it's $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 a name. I don't know what their deal is, but he has to pay him.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, for most registries, you just can't give out free names for no cost. Now, Google can do it because they built their own back end. So, we'll
cost,
see.
And the registrar is looking for new customers. It could be a great marketing campaign for the new GTLDs to say, hey, we're going to pay for free domains. I'm going to give you new customers. And, I'll give out these. People have to register. I get them on my list as the registry so I can communicate with them. I'll send them over to you with a coupon code so you can register them at Network Solutions or Web.com or whatever. Like, it could be a great marketing campaign, and all the registry would lose is their, their cut of the domain name.
Yeah, but I'm told by a couple of attorneys in this sector, and although everybody thinks I'm sort of an ICANN expert, I'm not. I'm not a policy guy. I really know very little about all of these a million pages of regulations. I'm told giving away a free domain on an opt-out basis where you automatically get it is not in accordance with ICANN regulations. That would be a Network Solutions problem. But I have no idea. That's what people have told me.
All right. Hey, if anybody's wondering why I'm sounding so sexy today, it's because I have a raspy voice, and it's because I seem to have caught the flu on my way home from traffic. So I apologize for that. I'm trying to mute my mic whenever I can. But one of the most interesting sessions at traffic completely caught me off guard. Rick made a revelation.
Oh, here we go.
Rick, you sat on the new GTLD panel and you said, I bought GTLDs. And I didn't just buy some GTLDs, as Mike Berkens put it on his blog. You bought more GTLDs than he owned at that time. What's the deal?
Well, I was in Vegas, so everyone's there at cap tables blowing 10 grand, so I can blow 10 grand in a different way, that's all. It's just money that I pissed away to have a good time with. I took a walk on the wild side, and, I've sat back now for about 5 months watching this, and I just took a walk on the dark side, and, because kind of what I learned on hallofshame.com, and I just went after some keywords like worst, like worst.contractors, worst.companies, that type of thing, terrible, lousy, just unethical, to me, I think that probably has a better chance to kind of poke people to have value than anything commercial. I didn't register a single commercial GTLD domain name. Okay, I didn't go there at all because, like I say, I just don't know that anything's going to happen from it. But on the other side, to use it as a poker, I think it may have a little bit of value, even if it doesn't get any traffic, even if it's meaningless. It may have a little value to me personally, just to have fun with. So that's all there is to it. It's not anything to resell. It's not an investment. It's just money I pissed away to have a good time, and that's it.
Are you going to keep them registered for 10 years like you usually do with your domains to see if it's going to gather value, gain value?
No, if it was a day-to-day thing, I would prorate it maybe, but no, I went wide. I think I got about between 50 and 60 different GTLDs. Mm-hmm. What I said at the show at Traffic is, to me, the right of the dot whatever, is exactly still that to me. It's meaningless. It's whatever. I focused on keywords left of the dot and then just went down and saw which would look interesting. So I could give a shit about dot whatever. I don't care. I didn't care anything about right of the dot. I only cared that when I matched up one of my dark side keywords on the left side, that it matched up well. So when you have, I don't know if I got worst dot contractors or worst dot companies or whatever, but when you get a variable like that, you know, you can put up a page, and I think it can be powerful. So like I said, not commercial. Mm-hmm. I still don't see any viability. I don't know if I ever will. It's possible. I've always been on record saying the geos are interesting, but the other ones, look, I've been using the term now for a year now, die on the vine, die on the vine, die on the vine, and I think we're starting to see what GTLDs look like that are absolutely dying on the vine. All you have to do is go to the GTLD stats, and when they're registering 3 domains a day, guess what? They're dying on the vine, and they're not going to be sustainable, and someone's going to have to take them over. I don't know what the process is when these things start to fold, but someone has to take them over.
I don't know. It's a good thing ICANN has a lot of money. Next up, let's head back over to 101domain.com. Mike Berkens, you had some dealings with 101 this week. What happened?
I actually got a call first, but then I got the email. I had pre-ordered a .vegas domain. So the name was cool.vegas, and I put a pre-registration in, and they told me it had gotten moved to the premium domain list by the registry, and they let me, they did call first, let me know it was coming. So they said, if you want, obviously if you want the name, you're going to have to pay the premium price. And if you don't want the name, we'll cancel a pre-order. So it's quite different than Page's situation, where you actually had a name, is an account for quite a while, and it got a bill and taken back. It's completely different because Vegas hasn't even launched.
So how much was the pre-registration cost, and then how much was the premium price that they were looking for?
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was just a slightly additional, something like $35,000. It was. Well, it wasn't really bad. I mean, Rick, I offered it to Rick. I think he could pay the $35,000. But really, I mean, when you look at it though, like cool.vegas, it's a name. It's an okay name. But how do you get to $35,000 for cool.vegas?
I have no idea.
Cool.vegas.
Maybe it's Mike Berkens, and he may buy it anyway. So why not try?
Is cool.vegas even registered? By the way,
coolvegas.com.
Vegas.cool.
It's actually owned by Frank.
Right,
I looked it up.
Right. I'm sure he'd sell you that name for
They're just jacking up all the prices that Frank owns.
Exactly. By the way, Die on the Vine, Rick, is Mike Mann's name, if you want to.
I was wondering who owned that.
Mike's going to do good.
Should go get it. It's probably like a buy it now until the air.
Seriously, before he sees this air. Die on the Vine. All right, next up, Domain Name Wire reports that sex.xxx sells as part of a $5 million deal. The multi-year deal for 40 XXX domains is valued at $5 million, and the two parties pegged the price of the sex.xxx itself at $3 million. The deal also included cam.xxx, phone.xxx, black.xxx. Given that sex.com sold for $13 million in November 2010, was the $3 million sale of sex.xxx a good deal for the buyer and the seller? What do you guys think?
Yeah, a good deal for the seller.
Well,
was it a good deal for the buyer?
The seller is the registry, for one.
Look, it depends what the buyer does with it. If the buyer is an end user and he has a plan to make $30 million, it's a great buy. If he's going to go and park it and be a schmuck like us, it's a terrible buy.
Yeah, so if the buyer has all the resources to get a site up and running and make money as a business, it's probably a great buy.
Exactly. It'll always come down. We're so wrapped up in being domainers and flipping what the value. No, the value is, what is the value to an end user that has an idea and a plan and can execute it? That's the true value of a domain name.
Yeah, I agree. The issue I always had with XXX is that they've had some nice sales, but they've always been at the registry level. Mm-hmm. And, as somebody owns a couple of hundred XXX domains, I just really haven't received offers on them at all in a couple of years. like none, zero, zip, nothing. And then if you check, the Afternic sales and then the CDU sales, which we publish every week, I mean, in a couple of years time frame, I don't think there's been 5. So, I don't quite understand it, why, they're willing to spend, millions and millions of dollars consistently with the registry to buy these names, but nobody else seems to be able to get a sale done. That would be the only thing I would have to say.
Yeah. Well, I think those hundreds of XXX domains you have are probably worth over $1 million a piece, because that's what we saw on the $1 million panel at Traffic. Every single person up there that sold a domain for over $1 million got 0 offers until they sold it for over $1 million. Unbelievable. I think the audience was shocked. I was shocked. All right, we're going to go with an audience question. It comes in from, the name is missing. Since Snap Names is now under web.com, and that network owns Network Solutions, does that mean that Snap Names is better at grabbing Network Solutions registered domain names than Namejet? So the whole question here is that Namejet is the partner of Network Solutions. When it expires, it goes to Namejet. If there's a bid in, Namejet grabs it because they have that relationship 99% of the times. So the audience member is asking, since Snap Names and Network Solutions are now sister companies, will that relationship become stronger in the future? What do you guys think?
My opinion is that they're under contract right now with Namejet, and when that contract expires, they're probably not going to renew it.
Ah, great point. That contract always gets you.
I would agree with Adam. I think on a free so if it's a Network Solutions name, it goes to Namejet exclusively. If nobody bids on it, it becomes a free drop domain. And then at that point, I don't think that Snap Names has any particular privileges over to get that name other than any other drop catcher. I mean, I'm sure they'll get their share, but I don't think they have any special privileges to it. Anybody who's done the GoDaddy back order sort of service, no, not back order, but drop service, you'd see that they get very few of their own domains once they pass their own auctions. So I think it's just a free-for-all once it goes past.
All right. So keep an eye out for when that contract expires. Paige?
I think that they're more than they're an equity partner with Namejet, with Demand Media in running Namejet. So I think it's more than just a contract, because it's a contract with half of themselves.
That is true. They are part owner in that, yeah.
Yeah, so neither public company has ever said kind of like who's the majority owner or minority owner or who gets service revenue. So you've got the spin out of right side, and does that go with that or does it go with demand? And then I think you'll see them both stay in business, and I think you'll maybe see names at both places. That'll be my prediction, is that you'll see names from both places at both places, and they'll try to somehow integrate the two, and it won't work. But I think that's what you'll see them do.
Yeah.
Yep. Done.
Hey, Paige, let's continue with you. You made a point about great.com domain names and their net worth as a collectible franchise. I think you were making an analogy to me over email about maybe the Clippers being bought by a Seattle billionaire. What point were you trying to make with that?
Well, I guess when they started saying, the bids might come in at $1 billion, and then Ballmer comes in at $2 billion and says, I want to be in a club that's very tough to get into, and the only way to get in it is to outbid everyone else to get something that very few people can have, and it doesn't matter who you know or where you grew up or what you did, you just have to overpay to get in that club, and then once you're in, you're in. It just reminded me of, and we don't have as many of the top one-worders as the other guys do, but it reminded me of that type of deal where, look at Donald Sterling. He could mess up so badly, destroy the value of a franchise, have every advertiser leave. The players say we're not going to play, but the fact that he was still in this exclusive club meant that a new person would still pay a bunch of money for it. So it's almost like someone that buys a great keyword domain name, even if they run it into the ground, there's still that value there because someone else will take over their position and instantly be in this exclusive club. So that was the parallel. And for some people, it's a big club, and then for other people, a small business or someone writing a blog or something, it's a small club, but they can buy their way in to getting the prestige that they want simply by owning the domain name. So that's what I like.
Yeah, great point. I see the same thing.
It's better to overpay for quality than to get a bargain on crap. And that's the bottom line. Listen, when I was a kid, I was growing up, I remember when the Empire State Building sold, they were laughing at how anyone could pay $12 million. That's it. You hear that? $12 million for the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building at the time was dilapidated. It was a mess. And what idiot would spend $12 million for the Empire State Building? Of course, I think the last time it sold, it was $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to let you know, and the next time it sells, God knows how much, but you always have to overpay to get anything great, whether it's a great collectible car, whether it's a great collectible baseball, whether it's great collectible art, whether it's a great collectible diamond. Everything in the history of man that's been great, people have overpaid for, everyone laughs at them, and then they make a killing on it when they flip it. So the roadmap has been there for hundreds of years, and that's why the domain industry, there's so many parallels. All you have to do is pick one of those parallels. There's so many of them. There are so many of them, and all you have to do is pick one and stay with it.
All right. Last up, pre-ordering domain names does not guarantee you the result you expect. Andrew Alleman over at DomainNameWire.com reported that 90 minutes after .xyz general availability opened, he was able to go to a registrar and hand register 2 domain names that he had pre-ordered elsewhere. His lessons learned is that you must pre-order the domain names at more than one registrar. I'm just amazed, guys. The registrar's sole purpose is to register domain names. If I give them my order, my intention is that my assumption, and maybe that's the problem, is that they're going to use an automated process to register those domain names as soon as possible, faster than I could humanly possibly do.
Some of them will do that, and they'll register them at 12:01 a.m. Clearly, whoever he backordered them with wasn't doing that.
Well, I think there's other issues, though. I think there's situations where the registry goes down, the back-end provider goes down. On
and
the
we
rush,
saw that with .xyz.
We saw that with XYZ, with CentralNIC. We saw that with Frank's Uniregistry. So at 12 noon, everybody throws their orders in. It crashes the registry. And, you would assume that registrars keep hitting it time and time again, but I don't think they do. Apparently, not all of them do. And then, so they try it once at 12. They get back a registration or a no registration, and they're done with it. So if the thing crashes at 12 and goes back at 12:30, they're not. Those all pre-orders went bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not hitting them again with it. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
It's very, very squishy.
I just think on the whole new TLD thing, if we would have been sitting here a year and a half ago and said, my gosh, won't the world be different when the new TLDs came out? As Mike Berkens has said so many times, the corporate registrations didn't come in near what everyone probably thought. It's amazing how little marketing has been done because they're all waiting for the new auction names or whatever. The systems don't seem to be in place. Even me, who spends full time, I don't understand how some of these things were done in LandRush or whatever. There's misinformation, this, that, and the other, and I guess they figure, well, after all that's said and done, the registrars will still do a bunch of names. And so, I mean, it is what it is, but the fact that things aren't working the way they should be seems to be the norm.
Foreseeable.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that I noticed, being at Traffic last week is that, Donuts, and God knows I've spent plenty of money with them. They didn't have, a representative there. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but to me, I didn't see any presence. And, they're launching 5 extensions a week, and they're located, I guess, in California somewhere. Or Seattle, but they're not that far away. And was anybody there from Donuts?
Nope.
Not that I
saw. They called me a month ago and told me they had an emergency. I don't know. It's like call 911 and make a reservation for an emergency. It's very weird. But I don't think they look. I just don't think they see domainers as their customers. They deal with the registrars. That's all they care about. And domainers, even though almost all of their registrations are coming from domainers, we're just the black sheep, and I think we're being treated that way. And it's pretty obvious. I mean, there's been no marketing. I mean, and there's no presence, and there's no one to. Where's the vision thing? You know, I mean, like I said from the get-go, I just want, when I see an extension, I want to hear the guy's vision, period. It's very simple. I don't want to hear 1,000 bloggers talking about it. I want to get the guy that came up with it to get up and say, this is my vision. This is how it's going to change the world. This is how it's going to be valuable to the world. And you know what? When they can't, first of all, when they won't, and it's because they can't, that makes me, as an investor, say, wait a second. Am I the stupid one here? Why would I invest in something that the very people that are bringing it out can't even defend? I mean, look, I've been picking on .rich, .ceo, and .horse from the get-go because those are the lamest three that I can think of so far, and they at least illustrate that where's the vision? I mean, .ceo. I mean, how many months has it been out? And it's up to 1,000 registrations. .rich is stuck at 37 again this week, I think. Did it go up from 37 yet? It's been there for 3 or 4 weeks.
I think it's the 38.
Oh, 38, terrific. Yeah. I mean, where the hell is the damn vision? I mean, look, like I said, I've been in sales all my life. I've never seen it. It's a clusterfuck, an exponential clusterfuck. Originally, it was just like a single-line clusterfuck. Now it's becoming exponential because these guys aren't doing any marketing. I mean, a tip of the hat to Daniel Nagari, who's doing the marketing. Look, the .club guys are the king of the castle right now because they're the only ones that are doing it right. Everyone expects the result of .co and .xxx and even .mobi, and not a single one of them got up off their ass to try to make that happen. You know, it's absurd, and believe me, it was the number one conversation of traffic. Where the hell are these guys?
So I have a comment for you. Yes, their target market may not be selling to domainers, but what they're missing is if domainers buy in and they know they can make money, they'll have a whole army of hundreds of thousands trying to help sell them and resell them. I mean, there's lots of people buying them for 10 or 20 bucks or 40 bucks, selling them for hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. Multiply that by, well, the Inform has almost 400,000 members on it. Just multiply it by 100,000 for argument's sake, or even 1,000. If you have 100 people out there that understand the industry and are interested in your product and go out and help you sell them, you're going to sell a lot more. So yeah, we're not your end user, but we are your target to help resell those things. So you should appreciate us.
I mean, I think domainers, as I've told people for the registries for many years, I mean, domainers really are like market makers. So when the stock comes, onto the market and goes to an IPO, they have underwriters and market makers, because who knows what shares of a new company are worth. So it's only based on the market makers and what they're willing to get to the table and bring, in terms of registrations and value, and that's what domainers are. So we're the first ones to understand it and get it. We're there on the first day that are willing to spend money and register it. Mm-hmm. And so we're the market makers, basically.
Yeah.
But it's really an unequal partnership because you have a registry operator with no risk and a domainer with all the risk. And I think that's where, it's really an unequal partnership because if the registry operator just wants to stand pat and say, well, my registrants, if they're domainers, they'll go out and push them, then, we've been real passive. Most people just sit back and wait for offers. And so really we haven't changed the internet world because before the new TLDs, all the good names were owned by domain investors and you had to approach them and offer them money to buy them. And now we've created a bunch of new TLDs where all the good names are owned by domain investors and you have to approach them and offer a premium price to buy them. So, we spent $1 billion, whatever, between ICANN's money and everything else. And I guess for me, just for kind of the good of the internet or domaining and the way we're perceived, I just wish we would have gotten just a little innovation out of it, maybe, just a little something to make building websites and real businesses be better than and I just don't feel like we have. And I'm buying, but when I say I'm buying new domains and I spend a lot of time figuring them out, it's like I went to the grocery store and I got my groceries and spent $400, and then I got to the counter and there were some lottery tickets there, and I'm like, give me some of those lottery tickets, and then someone says, well, which one do you want? Well, I'm still going to figure out which one of those games I want to play. Do I want to play the $5 scratch off or the $10 scratch off? And I'm going to spend some time figuring it out, and that's what I do with the new TLDs. But it's not the same as my shopping cart, where everything else is. But I still do want to know the system and figure out which lottery ticket has a better chance than the other ones. But they're still lottery tickets.
See, the thing is, they're all equally bad probabilities of winning, Paige. And I just say, give me the one that I know. So am I more like Americans or more like people in general that don't like change, that always give me the .com?
Well, the first decision is like what Rick made. Parcel off a certain amount of money to invest in them. And then once you've got that basket of money, you take off your logical, rational domain business builder hat and you put on your, hey, I just want to know what could be huge later on. And it's a completely different mindset. Like Rick talked about playing. It really is like playing. It's like someone's giving you Monopoly money. You've already decided that Monopoly money could go away, but you're still trying to allocate it correctly to different places. But you're playing with chips at the casino that they gave you when you joined the frequent gambler club, and they said, here's your $100 of free money, and you're walking over there and you're going, well, I'll try that, I'll try that, I'll try that. So.
See .club, see Paige.
What's that?
The good news is while you guys were chatting,
.club you mentioned.
The good news is while you guys were chatting, I just registered custom-built custom-built.house in French.
A maison.
But did you get custom house in French?
As Michael would say, Mason.
Did you get custom house in English or in French, though?
I got custom, well, it would be custom.house and custom-built.house, but in French.
But it's custom is a different word in French, no?
Yes. Oui, monsieur.
Oui.
All right.
What's your copy?
The only point that I want to follow up with you on, Paige, is that I think that the registries and individual investors are a lot more aligned than they want to allow us to believe. They're taking an enormous amount of risk by launching this registry. $185,000 was just the application fee. How much money went into the years of leading up to it, went into the staff time, went into the legal time? I think we're accepting a lot of risk as individual investors, and I think those registries have accepted a lot of risk as well.
I think they're all going to be cash flow positive. Every one of them is going to be positive. I don't see them with any risk.
Think about that. You have a lot of insights into how these registries are being formed. Do you think that every single registry will be cash flow positive?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Mike.
No, I don't think everyone will be, but
do you think 50% will be cash flow positive?
Much more. I mean, I think I don't, guys. I mean, we should have all been on the registry side. I mean, we should have been. It's almost. I mean, of course, you can come up with a ridiculously bad extension, and there are ridiculously bad extensions or bad plans. But, we probably wouldn't have come up with a ridiculously bad one. We probably would have come up with good ones. If you come up with a good domain extension, you cash flow positive. It's a printing machine. There's no real cost to it. You're not producing product. You don't have, an assembly line. You don't have, it's basically you're paying your backend provider per domain you register. There's no cost really to it. You have to market it. There's a few fixed costs, but they're not huge. If you take XYZ, seeing that 38,000, and if you take their word that they got paid for all of them, regardless of what the registrar charged or got paid for, then they've already well made back their application fee. And I mean, a lot of these things are made back their application fee like immediately. And so, how many businesses can you open, that are breaking even within a month? I mean, there's no real business, brick and mortar business you can open, or any sort of business you can open that's even within 6 months or 5 years. I mean, it's sort of a no-brainer in a way. Of course, if you register something that .grid. I mean, that has. I mean, what can I tell you? But I mean, there were lots
That's
of
what I'm saying. The incentive for them to do anything more goes away because they're making money, their bills are getting paid. If they did it with other people's money, then they didn't risk anything. I mean, I'm anxious to watch Frank's stuff because I do feel like it was a guy with his own money, and so he's, he can't just sit there and say, well, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. But I just feel like there's no incentive for them to inflate the balloon. It's like the balloon's a certain size. They got what they got, but who's going to blow into their balloon and actually inflate it and make it worth something, or just kind of say, well, we're doing the minimum we have to. We'll do a couple registrar promotions every year. We're making money, and we got out there. But like Rick said, I'm looking for ones that have a little vision, not just an entitlement mentality that says, hey, we paid the money, we got a TLD, we have a monopoly, everyone's supposed to want these names, here's the rules that you have to play by to get them, and they're almost embarrassed to own them, you know what I mean? As opposed to getting out there and saying, this is a neat new thing.
All right, gentlemen, we are at an hour. Is there anything that you want to promote on today's show? Adam Dicker.
No, nothing, thank you.
Mike Berkens.
Great.xyz, if you want to bring the $1,000 offer, come on.
Great.xyz. Get your offer in quickly, because as soon as that other guy matches Mike's minimum, it's going to sell. Paige, anything you want to promote?
We just sold an XYZ for less than $1,000, but accepted the offer at Sadhu, so at least I can say I've sold one. We're putting a bunch of stuff on the outlet this week, some store names, some blog names, some forum names, and we'll put a couple XYZs on there too. So come to DomainOutlet.com.
All right, and Rick Schwartz, anything you want to promote?
Just that the early bird for Miami will be changing sometime next week from $9.95 to $12.95, so get them while it's hot.
Get them in. Go post your questions down below the video if you have any comments. Adam Dicker, Mike Berkens, Paige Howe, and Rick Schwartz, thanks for coming on the Domain Sherpa discussion, sharing your insights and experience, and thanks for continuing to be Domain Sherpas for others. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Peace out.